Hello, ladies and gents, Casual Gaming Dad here, and today I wanted to cover a little bit about what just happened. We just had our Diablo 4 live stream event, it ended about a little over an hour ago, and I just wanted to go over some of the highlights, some of those details, in case you missed it. First things first, I just want to say that I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to listen in to what I have to say about things. There's lots of content creators out there. Riker was there sponsoring, working with Blizzard at the event. I'm very, very happy for him. Very excited. He's in many ways the face of the Diablo community and ARPGs and whatnot. And so I was very happy that he was chosen and selected to do that and be a part of that. So, I'm also very passionate about this franchise and this series, and I'm very excited to be a part of it, especially from a casual gaming perspective. But let's get into it. So I'm obviously not going to cover the entire thing. It was like an hour and 20 something minutes long. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights. The first and foremost being that this was insinuated and a little before on Twitter by Rod Ferguson, but we are having another Diablo 4 beta weekend. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, of all weekends they could pick, right? I thought it would be really funny if they pick May 12th, right? Because Tears of the Kingdom is coming out that day. If you don't know what that is, it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild, a very, very popular game. I haven't played Breath of the Wild. I used to really like the Legend of Zelda series a lot more when I was younger, but I've just heard outstanding things about the game time and time again. This is a very highly anticipated sequel. So for them to pick that weekend of all weekends, I mean, I'm sure a large part of the Zelda fan base is not going to be a Diablo player maybe, but I feel like the weekend before would have been a little bit better. But then again, there's another reason why they're not doing that, and that's because D2R Season 4 is starting on May 4th, so they wanted to space those out a little bit. So anyways, it is what it is. Clock's ticking. We don't have a lot of time until the game's released in the beginning of June. So we're going to play this weekend if you want, and then we're just going to have just a few weeks away. So May 12th, 12 p.m. To May 4th. 12 p.m. Yeah, I thought it said 9 initially. I thought it said 9 a.m. But anyways, they're calling it the Server Slam. They want us to really test the servers. They want to have another test. You can only level to 20 this time. Should be clear. You can only level to 20. Okay, so let's go here. What to expect, right? Your progress made during Access Open Beta will not carry over. So if you want to play again, you will have to start over, which, is fine for me. I'm probably only going to pick like one character and just play it over the weekend. I didn't kill Ashava in the last one. I didn't really have time. I wanted to just play the characters, and I killed Ashava back in 2019, so it wasn't a big deal to me, but I'll probably try and do it this time. Let's see. Players may level the character to 20, and you will cease to gain ability points, continue to slay demons, and earn alluring gear. Legendary item drop has been altered to reflect the drop rate that will be present in the launch. So that's going to be interesting too, okay? So it's not going to be as elevated as it was before. And then it'll also include all the bug fixes and updates they made in their open beta retrospective blog. So that's actually very interesting, right? So obviously Ashava will be the biggest thing. If you didn't earn some of those things, like I didn't get this trophy here for killing Ashava, then you can earn it. So I'm probably going to want to do that, right? And search Diablo 4 Server Slam, search Diablo 4 Server Slam for PC, obviously just a Battle.net client. If you're using on console, that's how you find it. Make sure you have it updated. You can see here, I'm going to put this link in the video description once this goes live on YouTube. So if you want to check out the live stream, feel free to check it out. I did. I thought it was very much worth sitting at. I had a big bowl of popcorn and a beverage and everything, and it was really great. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk just a little bit about, and I don't have a script, so this is just some things I have from memory, some notable things that I felt is worth mentioning. They talked about, we got a glimpse at some uniques. We did see a Harlequin Crest Shaco, for example. They mentioned the grandfather. I saw on the Harlequin Crest, for example, it said +4 to all rank skills. All skills. +4. And then it had damage reduction from 10 to 20%, so there's ranges. They talked about some of the sacred and ancestral. We got to see some items that said they had the term ancestral in the name of the item, which drops in world tier 4 and above, so that torment. Tier 3 is sacred. They mentioned a little bit about the itemization and how once you get to level 50, there's a prerequisite, a type of dungeon you have to complete, and once you do, you have access to world tier 3, and in world tier 3, you can start to find sacred items. And it's not, to be clear, it's not just uniques and legendaries that can be sacred and or ancestral. It's all types of items, and you could find an item at level 50 or 51, right, that could be powerful enough for a level 70 character, and you might use that all the way to 70. And I think that's really interesting, so there's a little bit of that luck, that chase there, right? So that could be really exciting. You find something really powerful, and it just really helps you through that leveling process, and I think that's really cool. We got to see a bit more about the Paragon system. They talked more about that. They told us a little about the different nodes. They went into details about their thought process, right? With with how they structure things in a way, and how they have certain nodes, like the legendary nodes, or nodes with like where you could insert a glyph, kind of similar to like in PoE, where the nodes had sockets, right? So you could insert a glyph, and there's certain prerequisites for bonus like powers or bonus percentages. For example, I think one of the ones they showed us was one where it had a certain percentage of elite damage, for example, and if you had the prerequisite met, which in this case was, I think it was 250 dexterity, and they showed the character did have that met, then they would get an additional bonus to said elite damage. So, sometimes the bonuses may be relevant to you, and you may want to plan your way through a skill tree. There's a cap at this point in time. On launch, it's going to be 220 points, right? So we know from level 50 and above, you get 4 Paragon points per level, plus you get some through achievements, so 220 points. So you'll have to plan how you want to do it. Maybe you'll find a piece of gear, for example, that will make you want to change your build, and so you're going to want to look at your Paragon and if that makes sense for you. And so I think there's a lot more customization being offered, and that's really good, striking that balance between it being too simple like it was in Diablo 3 and maybe overly complicated like some other games like Path of Exile, right? So I think the game seems to be heading in that direction. It seems to be getting it right. We'll see how it feels, of course, after launch and after playing the game for a bit. So they talked about that. They talked a little bit about some of the changes they made, which is in their, the open beta retrospective blog, right? They kind of gave us some more information on that. They provided some clarity there. One of the questions that Riker asked from the community was about the overlay map. And look, I'm just going to say how I feel about this. I know people feel a little bit differently, and I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the overlay map in Diablo 2, and the reason being is simply because I felt like I just have it on when I play all the time, and it's a bit of a distraction. And it takes away from me seeing like what's going on in the game. Sometimes drops, and I'd kind of rather not have it. So the fact that they're taking a step and taking a stance and deciding not to have it, I can understand some resistance to that, and I can see why some people still really, really would rather have it. Me personally, I'm kind of glad they don't. And so if I have to stop, if I'm a traveler, right, if I'm actually traveling, like in times like that, and I have to stop to look at a map, see where I am, it makes sense. I put it away and then keep going, right? So like, I think my son mentioned, do you really want to be stopping and pressing M every 5-10 seconds to look? I'm like, no, not really, but maybe it'll help me break that habit of doing that. Maybe I'll stop, take a look, take a harder look, see where I need to go, and then keep going and explore and focus more on that piece and being more immersed. I think that's the best way I can put it. For me, it kind of breaks the immersion a bit, is having that overlay map there all the time. So I don't know if that's a hot take or whatnot, or how people feel about it, but that's what I think. I'm kind of glad they're getting rid of that, or at least at this time, they're not going to have that on launch. They said they're open to looking into that in the future, So I think that they're open to the idea. If they see that it's really not what people want, the majority of the players, then they can certainly put that in. But I am for not having it at this point in time. So let's see. They talked about itemization. They talked about some of their changes. They answered a bunch of questions about things. I think there was still a lot of questions I would have liked to have seen answered more. I think I would have liked to see them talk a little bit more about. They mentioned there were some endgame systems that we don't even know about. They didn't. This was supposed to be an endgame discussion, and they didn't really say anything new that we didn't know. They talked a little bit about Fields of Hatred again, and how if you're into PvP, that seems like kind of a fun, exciting way to do it. There aren't really a lot of restrictions or limitations, and so you can get jumped, you can get ganked, you can be part of said group and jump and gank people, and you know, it's just going to be one of those things. If you want to go there, you can. If you want to take the chance, you can. Riker did say, since he did get a chance to play the game in its current state, I think it sounded like he got to play through the entire campaign, and at least I think so. It sounded like he did. And he said that, you know, when he tried out the higher world tiers, when he was closer to like level 50, I think he said he was 45, he was humbled quite a bit. It was a lot more difficult and challenging. So for those of you who felt like even the tier 2 was not challenging enough, if you're kind of a vet player like myself and other ARPG players, then you know what, then don't worry, because it sounds like tier 3 and 4 will be a lot more challenging and whatnot. So, you know, I'm very optimistic at this point from what I've seen. From the way they talk about the game, the feedback they took, the changes they've made, the transparency they've had. You know, this is the most transparency I've ever seen any team at Blizzard be with a game that is still being developed. Of course, it's gone gold at this point, so it's definitely coming out. And, you know, I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be exciting. It's got a little bit of something for everybody. It's not going to hit the mark for everyone. If you're looking for this game to be more like an MMO, like Diablo Immortal is, where you're just like queuing up with people or seeing people all the time or doing lots of activities with people all the time, then, you know, this may not be the game for you. I hate to say it, it's not. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad it isn't. That's not really what I personally want out of this game. That's not really a Diablo feel. If I want that, I can go play other games, you know? I'm going to play a lot of the game on my own. I'll play with friends here and there, but to be honest, in Diablo 3, I didn't do a lot of that outside of friends from time to time. Now, in Diablo 2, when I played through the campaign, it did feel good to play with other people. It did feel good. And I think that is probably going to be the same with this game. So that there's that, but, you know, I'm not... If I want to do activities with others, there's world bosses and, you know, there's fields of, you know, hell tides or fields of hatred if you want to do PvP. So I really think there's going to be plenty for us to do in this game. And there's lots of customization. There's definitely more depth than there was before. There's a comeback for uniques, you know, some of our old favorites, and hopefully they're strong and good. I mean, we saw the Harlequin Crest that seemed really powerful. There's opportunities to create builds in a unique way that you want. Riker mentioned a unique legendary power that he found that kept the Druid, for example, in werewolf form all the time, regardless of what you were doing. So you're casting storm spells and tornadoes, and you're still a werewolf. And he said the Druid went from his bottom tier, like last pick choice, after playing it now, to possibly his highest. And that was really, really something. For me, the Druid was really a lot of fun. But I think that's really what these types of games are about. It's just, you know, it's that chase, right? You're going to find that item that makes something really exciting and fun to play in a new way that you haven't tried. And I think from season to season, they're going to add more content, and they're going to have like a special feature in each season, you know, kind of like, sounds like they're wanting to do something like what PoE does, where have something unique each season. And I think that's going to make this game very, very replayable. It's going to be something you come in and out of, and I'll come play a season for a month or two or whatever, you know, however long, and, you know, go and play other games, then come back and play it again. And that's really what I'm looking for. That's me personally as a casual gamer. For you hardcore players out there, it's a little bit different, not just specifically like players who play the hardcore mode, but just for more, you know, elitist type, you know, min-maxers and whatnot. It might be a little bit different experience for you, but that's how it is for me as a casual, and I think that more people than not are like me, you know, and who are... There's going to be a lot of people who come into this game that haven't played Diablo before, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they think about that. But anyways, those are just my thoughts, you know, and I'm going to be playing. I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards a Necro maybe, you know, since I did play the Druid quite a bit, although it is tempting to go back and play the Druid after they made some changes, but I'm not really sure. But I'll level a character to 20, and I'll play, and I'll share my thoughts after that and see what how the game feels at that point. If I can really tell, I can notice those changes they made. But otherwise, that's it for today, and thanks for listening in, and we'll see you in hell real soon. All right, bye-bye.